I'm going to show you 7 deadly truths that illustrate how it is that we got to where we are today. So sit back, relax, and get ready to take your biggest red pill ever. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I help people to spiritually awaken so they can enter a conscious path of ascension. And be sure to subscribe so you catch all my videos to support you on your awakening and ascension journey. Now, as we get ready to move into 2021, I think things could potentially get even crazier than ever before. So before we get all distracted again by whatever is coming next, it's probably going to be totally unexpected. I want to share with you 7 of the major ways that we got ourselves in the situation that we find ourselves in right now. So this video is for anyone who is wondering and curious about why is it that we as a collective humanity are so easily controlled. And in this video, I'm going to give you a very big part of that answer. Now, the reason this is important is because Ascension is about evolving ourselves at the deepest possible human level. So that includes expanding our consciousness in all directions of time and space so that we include all that has happened to us in order to transmute these lower levels of consciousness and bring them back into resonance with a much higher vibration, a higher frequency, and closer to the light of who we really are. In other words, we need to bring all of ourselves into the ascension process at all of these different levels. We don't want to be limited to only what we're seeing in this present moment of time. So this video is going to be a giant mega red pill, and it's not for the faint-hearted, you guys. So if you want to hang on to all of your old beliefs, this video is probably not for you. So let's talk about the first deadly truth that got us to where we are today. Religions have hijacked our natural connection to God. You know, we are currently so concerned about the censorship of big tech, but religions have been censoring us when it comes to our natural connection to the divine, and they've been doing this for thousands of years. So what do you think is more important? Censoring our ability to talk to each other, or censoring our ability to have a full-on total connection with God? Now, I'm not trying to say that religions should not exist at all, but I will tell you that when we are at our highest level of an evolved cosmic state, there's no such thing as religions in that reality. So if we're going to have religion here, let's keep it in perspective. Let us understand exactly what we're getting ourselves into, and maybe, it wouldn't hurt to kind of reform and reshape these institutions in such a way that they support who we really are. And there could already be some religions somewhere on the planet that are actually supportive of who we are. But I'm talking about just religions as a general rule and how they have been presented to us for thousands and thousands of years. So religions, in a sense, have been telling us how to think and how to talk about God. And they usually threaten us with eternal damnation if we don't do things their way. We are told that we must show up every single week in their physically constructed buildings so that we can connect with their appointed brokers between us and God. And this is, of course, to make sure that we stay on the right track. And the right track is determined by other humans just like us. Now, I want to show you something that is probably going to freak a lot of people out. So if you want to turn this video off right now, feel perfectly free to do so. And what it has to do with is the crucifix and Christianity. Dare I say that there is some serious gaslighting going on here? I mean, I would actually call it a satanic form of gaslighting. Now, you guys have to understand, I'm looking at all of this from an extraterrestrial cosmic perspective. I'm not looking at it using earth-based situations as my reference point, because I don't think you ever get perspective when you do that. So it's best to step back, take a cosmic perspective, wipe the veils away from your eyes and pay attention to what you are actually being told. So here's what I mean about the crucifix. So we are told by these religions that we're supposed to be worshiping God. I mean, that sounds pretty good, right? And then we are given a symbol about what that means. And that physical symbol is supposed to stand for the ultimate representation of the God that we are supposed to be worshiping. What is that symbol? The symbol is that of a mutilated corpse nailed to a piece of wood. Now really think about this for a minute, you guys. We are told that this symbol is representative of God's will. So with this symbol, we are literally worshiping the death of God and the death of all that is good. And then to top it all off, millions of people around the world wear the symbol of the actual murder weapon around their neck. It's called a crucifix, right? Now, you guys, you need to understand that crucifixion is a horrific form of torture and death. And yet millions and millions of people around the world think that this is an awesome thing to worship to show their devotion. Devotion to what exactly? The torture, death, and crucifixion of God? Guys, there's only one entity that I can think of who would think that was awesome. And it's not God. And then the religions gaslight us further and they say, oh, but he died for our sins. He was tortured, mutilated, and killed because of us. So therefore, this entire thing is good, which therefore would mean that the torture and death of God is the remedy for all that ails us, you guys. Do you have any idea of the negative subconscious impact that this has on your ability to fully connect with your divine heart and your natural connection to omnipresent love and to the creator of all that is that omnipresent love? I mean, can you imagine the deep-seated subconscious and unconscious guilt that you would have to be carrying around if you actually believe this? And if you believe this, it's also possible or even likely that you believe that bottom line is humans are pretty irredeemable, and it would be completely logical to think that many of us deserve to burn in hell forever. And I also have to say that I think the concept of burning in hell for all eternity is kind of satanic as well. Now, let me say this. If you are still here and you would like to attack me in the comments with all kinds of Bible quotes, don't even bother, because I have filters on my channel and your stuff's not even going to show up. Okay, so for all you brave souls who are still sticking with me, let's go on to deadly truth number 2. Deadly truth number 2 is that you were educated to be a slave. You know, nowadays you hear a lot of people talking about a fear of re-education camps. But the thing is, you've already been through a massive re-education camp. It's called the compulsory corporate school system. This exists as a massive, sometimes 20-year-long required education camp designed to re-educate you away from your natural state. In this camp, you get put into individual prison cells called grades. You are then required to identify yourself with whatever numbered cell you are assigned to. And then you are socially conditioned to only want to interact with those who are also assigned to your own numbered cell. I mean, think about this. What is one of the first questions a person is ever asked when a conversation comes up about their child? The first question that comes up is, what grade are they in? The word grade has the number that is assigned to their prison cell, which is erroneously referred to as a classroom. You don't think it's a prison cell? Try leaving the classroom when you're not supposed to. Now, please don't leave me any comments that say, oh, Saratoga, you're saying we should not be educated. That is ridiculous. That's not what I'm saying at all. This is about what we're being educated for. And if you do not send your child to one of these education camps designed to produce highly controllable slaves, then your child will likely be taken away from you by the government. And then to make matters even worse, there are very powerful corporate special interests that actually make a fortune off of every child who sits in these prison cell classrooms. That's the whole reason they ridicule homeschooling, because there's no money in it. Now, I'm going to tie all of these things together for you guys because I really want you to understand why it is that we as a collective human species are so easily controlled and easily programmed to do just about anything at all. Okay, so let's move on to deadly truth number 3. Deadly truth number 3 is that there is no such thing as money. Money was created to completely control us and this entire planet through the use of fear of survival. It's kind of used as a herding mechanism. Now, have you guys heard about the Internet of Things? That is a vision that a lot of these major tech corporations have, where they literally want to connect every single thing on this planet, everything, to the internet. And that sounds really horrible, doesn't it? But I want to show you how the Internet of Things is really just an extension of the already embedded system of money. There is literally nothing on this planet that does not have a price attached to it. We're talking about plants, animals, goods, services, water. I mean, every single thing. Everything is connected to this coded system of money. And of course, it's impossible to function in this world without money. That's by design. And this is what happens when you attach a numerical code to literally every single thing that exists. So basically what they want to do with AI is they want to shift that numerical system of coded control over onto the internet. So let me show you how this is already working even without the internet. The controllers assign a numerical code called money to everything that exists. And then you make rules that are based on that numerical code about how things are used and traded and moved around. Then they use that system to forcibly calibrate our standard of living. They can choose to make us rich or poor depending on how they manipulate the code and change the rules. And part of the agenda in forced corporate schooling is to make sure that we all stay completely ignorant of how this works. They want to keep us in an animalistic state of just trying to get money in order to survive. And they make sure that we have as little as possible, so we will stay in this animalistic, desperate state that makes us completely controllable. And then the religions back this up psychologically by convincing us that having money is evil and against God's will. This is one of the reasons that you often will see a religion and a government paired together, because it's all part of the same control system. Okay, so now let's take a deep breath as we go into deadly truth number 4. Deadly truth number 4 is this: men are not your enemy. Now, that truth isn't deadly to us, but it's very deadly to the controllers. So let me explain what I mean. Women and men in their purest form represent the perfect yin and yang of energy that produces all of creation, that literally creates whole universes of life. This means that men and women are designed to function together as brilliant and extremely powerful co-creators. Now, do you think the controllers of this planet can afford something like that? Of course not, because if that were going on, the controllers would be immediately destroyed. So here's how they fixed that problem for themselves particularly in the last 100 years or so, which was really all about leading us up to this AI reality. Now, I know that this problem with men and women goes back thousands and thousands of years, but I just want to stay within the last 100 years or so, because that's where the most important things are that pertain to where we actually are right now. Here's how the controllers are making absolutely certain that we never, as men and women, pose a mortal threat to their existence on this earth. So the part that I want to talk about goes way back to the Industrial Revolution and maybe even a little prior to, when they first decided to pull men away from the family and put them in corporate slave jobs. And this was all done through social engineering and manipulation of the money system. So now if you put a couple things together, first you have the classroom prison and then you have the corporate job prison. I mean, why do you think so many people hate their jobs? Why do you think it's considered to be so normal to hate your job? So anyway, they first moved the men into that corporate job prison because they always go for the men first, because that's what gives them access to the women. So now that they had removed the men from the families, the next thing they had to do was try to get the women away from their children. But there's a little bit of a problem with that, because back in the old days, babies needed to be breastfed, right? Now, problem solved, just invent baby formula. So they figured that out, and then they could figure out a way that women did not have to be with their newborn babies or infants or what have you. And then in more recent decades, they created something called the sexual revolution to break up the family and get everyone completely disoriented when it came to their creative sexual energy. And I think it was kind of weird, because I think what they did is they told women, men are basically like sexual predators, and it's not fair that they get to be that and you don't too. So ladies, you should be doing that yourselves. So they got all that confusion happening. And then they said to women, hey, ladies, it's really not fair that men get to go to these corporate prison jobs and make money, and you don't get to do that. Note the use of money manipulation. So, of course, the women, like the dutiful slaves that we have all collectively been, say, yeah, that's right. We should be allowed to have those corporate prison jobs too. So then they get all the women into the same prison system of jobs. So now you have a lifetime of the prison of schools, followed by the prison of jobs, followed by, well, you're kind of worn out, you're sort of done, so now you should just go to the old retirement home. Off to the old retirement home for retired slaves. So then all your life you have corporate authority figures telling you what you can and cannot do and how you get to spend your precious time. Oh, and also the arts are sort of sequestered, put over here on the side in a sequestered box. And that's how they control our creative energy, so that it can only expand where they want it to. See, there's no money in the arts, right? That's why every time someone wants to be an artist of any kind, they're generally told, well, then get used to being poor and having no money. See, that's all by design, you guys. Okay, so this now brings us up to modern times. Now, I have a message for all the feminists out there. You are not going to gain power by destroying men, because you are next. See, it's the same playbook all over again. Destroy the men first, so next you can get to the women and destroy them. So all of this social celebration about how terrible and horrible men are, it's going to happen to women too. Guys, this latest round of human destruction is all about AI. Now, why do you think they really want to destroy first men and next it's going to be women? Well, it's really simple. They don't need us to reproduce anymore. They want to neuter all of us and destroy the basic manifestation of men and women altogether, because they need our souls for an entirely new purpose now. And this is where we'll get into some extraterrestrial stuff later on. Not in this video, but maybe in a future video. Guys, there is so much more that we need to understand. Okay, so now for all you brave souls who are still here with me, let's get on to deadly truth number 5. Deadly truth number 5 is an interesting one. It is this: entrepreneurship shall not be tolerated. See, being an entrepreneur is probably the most empowering way to live in our society. It's about being self-reliant and able to constantly learn and educate yourself in a creative way. It's about being strong and adaptable. It's about living in a constant flow of creative energy. In our society, it is the fastest path to personal growth and ongoing self-development, which also gives you the freedom for ongoing human evolution. Yet you can go through 12 to 20 or more years of childhood and young adulthood school, and you will learn absolutely nothing about how to take care of yourself. Now, why do you think that most people hate their jobs? It's because it is no fun giving someone else complete control over most of your waking hours. But that's what corporate schooling is designed to condition you for. It's to spend maybe up to 20 years conditioning you to have someone else in authority completely control your time and your life. And then you're set up so that that control is essential if you are even going to survive. Do you see why I say this is really a slave system? Now, there are always those who are creative and strong and highly motivated who might slip through this system of control and then go on to experience the freedom of controlling their own life. But see, there's always a prejudice against self-employed people who are deemed by the corporate money system to be suspicious and not to be trusted. See, these types of people with that entrepreneurial spirit, they make terrible slaves. And here's the reason why. See, the system is designed to break your spirit. I mean, that's essentially what this corporate schooling system is ultimately designed to do. Now, I'll give you the closest metaphor I can think of to explain what I'm talking about. You can take, for example, a very spirited wild horse, capture that animal, and put it in a pen. So that pen would be likened to a classroom for a human being. Now, once you've captured that animal, your goal is to break the spirit of that horse in order to make it controllable. And that's what controlled compulsory corporate schooling is designed to do. It's designed to break the natural spirit of children and make them easy to control. So when you guys look around today at all of these people who will just believe and do anything, who will just stay home and lock down and not question anything they're told and do whatever they're told, just look at everything I'm talking about and you can start to see why that happens. Because I know so many people are asking that question like, why? How come we're so easily controlled in our current situation? Well, I'm giving you guys the reasons why and explaining to you how this actually happened. So when you look at all of the shocking level of compliance today with no questions asked, you can now understand where it started. All right, so now let's move on to deadly truth number 6. Guess what? Number 6 comes back to school again. School is nothing more than a giant programming camp. Now you guys might say, why are you talking so much about school, Saratoga? Well, think about this. You spend possibly a quarter of a century of your good life in that system. And you're put there during your most creative, most formative years. During that time, you are forcibly locked down into that system. You don't think that's going to have a powerful effect on you for the rest of your life? See, as highly creative, intelligent, spirited human beings, we are literally broken through a system of reward and punishment so that we can be turned into highly controlled slaves. And that's what we see going on all around us today. Now, I want to bring something up with you guys that you maybe never thought of before. A lot of the trauma that you might be holding onto in your body that maybe you think came primarily from your upbringing and your family, a lot of that trauma actually probably came from being forced into these re-education camps called schools. Now, all of this is not to be confused with a need to learn the necessary skills to lead a successful, empowered, creative life. Of course, we need to learn those skills. Of course, we need to learn. We actually need to be lifelong learners. But why are we so brainwashed to believe that the only legitimate learning happens forcibly through these corporate-run, controlled systems of re-education camps? Now, here's the really important thing, you guys. School sets us up to be receptive to doing what we're told and taking on whatever truth is fed to us. The collective reverence for controlled schooling makes it possible for the controllers to feed us any lies they want. They can manipulate reality through the school system. They can change reality. They can print textbooks with whatever truth they want and force us to believe it, because believing it means that you get a good grade, a diploma, and a degree. And that is directly tied to your salary. It's directly tied to how much money you get for the rest of your life. So if you take everything I've showed you so far, you can see how it all kind of interweaves together and completely explains why we are so easily led to the edge of whatever cliff these controllers want to lead us to. So as children and young adults, we learn to understand reality through the corporate authority of schools. And then as adults, we turn to the media in all its forms to learn what the current reality is. And that's because we have had the will to think and reason for ourselves completely crushed. I mean, guys, when you go through nearly a quarter of a century, when you go through a process that will crush your ability to think and reason for yourself, it's going to impact your entire life. Now, are you guys starting to understand why it was so easy for the controllers to lie to us, to lock us down, to force us to wear cloth on our faces and partly suffocate ourselves all day long, and stay 6 feet apart from each other and follow little arrows and circles that are painted on the floor? It kind of reminds you of school, doesn't it? And then we wonder why we collectively continue to believe whatever they tell us, even when in our hearts we know that this can't be true. So you see, none of this is really new. It's just taking on a new form. All they're really doing right now is herding us like cattle out of one corral, which was our old reality. They're herding us into a new corral, which is our new reality. The new reality being the AI universe. I mean, the truth is we have been treated by the controllers like human livestock for a very long time. Now, I know that all of this could eventually feel very overwhelming. But guys, this is part of waking up. We have to wake up to the whole picture of how we got to where we are today so that we can transmute the internal effects of all of this on our consciousness. So now let us finish finally with deadly truth number 7. The final deadly truth is this, my friends. We have slept through all of the things that I just described. We have literally slept through our entire death march into an AI reality. All of this has been carefully coordinated by off-world controllers to turn us into human cyborgs. And I gotta tell you guys, this journey is not new. And there's a very good chance that we have been through this journey on multiple planets through multiple incarnations, not just on this earth. Now, why would I say that? It's because the depth of our sleep state is so utterly profound that it could not have started only on this planet Earth. I mean, guys, we are sleeping at a soul level. That's why we believe nonsense like suffering is good. Suffering is how we learn. No, that's how animals learn when they're treated with cruelty. Now, you can always choose to ignore everything I've said here and just go right back to sleep. And that's exactly what they want you to do. They want you to be overwhelmed. They want you to just close your eyes and just go completely unconscious as they continue to usher you like a piece of livestock into the next weird reality. So ascension is like a very brief opportunity in this cosmos to wake up and make a different choice. You can choose to wake up at a cosmic level and understand where you really are and what is actually happening, or you can say, no, I'm not ready yet, and just go back to sleep. In which case, you will just continue to be used as a slave on multiple planets throughout this universe. See, waking up is what gives you the clarity to set a positive intention, to intend a positive trajectory of evolution. If you stay asleep, you don't even know where you are. How in the world are you going to set that positive intention? Now, I have not really said anything here in this video that you cannot see for yourself. I'm not saying you have to agree with me. I'm not saying you even have to look at any of this, but I'm just presenting it to you as an opportunity so you can look at it, you can think about it, you can contemplate it, or you can just throw it away. It's really entirely up to you. But I want to complete this by coming all the way back to the subject of connecting with your heart and being true to your heart. See, when you reject your heart, you are literally rejecting yourself. You are literally rejecting who you really are. And that's what this entire system that I've been describing to you has been designed to get you to do. It's been designed to get you to completely reject your heart and reject yourself. And here's something to think about. If you reject yourself, you really can't complain about what happens to you as a result of that rejection. So here's the thought I want to leave you with. Your only lifeline back to reality is through your heart. There is literally no other way out. When you connect with your heart, you are literally reconnecting with life itself in its truest, highest form. I mean, your heart is your gateway. So if you choose to turn your back on that portal of your heart and on yourself because the outer world tells you something different than what you will face out here, is everything I've talked about so far and even more that I haven't talked about. I mean, here's a really important question, you guys. What in this outer world, as we currently experience it, what in the world do you see in front of you that you can align your whole being with that is 100% true to who you really are? It's not there. It's just not there. But inside your divine heart is your true presence, is your gateway to the cosmos, is your portal to the universe, to the highest expression of life and love in this entire creation. That's your portal. See, we're not really lost. We just kind of think we're lost because we've been conditioned to believe all this junk that I've been talking about. And the truth is, we are actually not really trapped in this 3D reality. We're only trapped to the extent that we believe that this is all there is. Do you see how simple that is? I mean, each of us, we walk around with the actual portal out of this false illusionary reality. We walk around with the portal out literally inside of ourselves. And yet we have been taught to deny it, to ignore it, and to turn our back on that. So here's what you can think about. Instead of saying no to your heart and no to yourself, how about switching that around and saying, you know what, I'm going to say no to all this junk. And instead, start learning to say yes to you. Because when you say yes to you at that deepest, most sincere, most beautiful, heartfelt level, that is a portal that will open up, that raises your vibration, raises your frequency, and raises you to a much, much, much higher level of experience that also brings you into alignment with much higher manifestations of life. And that is really the ascension key, you guys. That's what everyone talks about when they talk about 5D. They're talking about a different level of reality, a different level of experience. So that is your gateway. So I wanted to make this video for you guys. I know it's probably a little intense. I'm sure there are people who say, oh, Saratoga, you sound so negative. It's not negative at all, you guys. I wanted you to have an opportunity to see more clearly, to wake up more, so that you understand our situation with a great deal more clarity, and you can make much more beautiful, more high-level choices for yourself, and not be so submerged in this sleep state of unconsciousness where we don't even understand, where we look around and we go, how come everybody's so compliant? This is so weird. And as far as what I was saying about religion goes, if you want to participate in a religion because it benefits you in some way, by all means do so. But also understand that it's not required. It should be a choice, not a requirement. So if you guys are still here with me, whoever is still here with me to the very end of this video, oh my goodness, you guys are so incredibly awesome. You're amazing. You are the awakened ones. And I so appreciate your presence on this planet. You are powerful, you are strong, you are enlightened, and man, you are going to be such an incredible asset in this ascension process. So to all of you guys, my warriors of light, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you think maybe has the courage to hear all this stuff. And be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I am here every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you so much heartfelt love, light, and positive energy. And I so look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Namaste.